Hi, everyone, and karibuni sana to our webinar this evening. It's so great to see everyone joining in. A huge welcome to everyone who's tuning in from LinkedIn, following our conversations on Twitter, and those who are tuning in from YouTube. Thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of this conversation. Also, a special shout out to our Elevate HR community members, those who are streaming in from platform. If you're interacting with Elevate HR Africa for the first time, allow me to quickly introduce who we are to you. Elevate HR is a cloud-based platform that's specifically for the African market that lets you easily onboard and manage your employees' payroll, leave, and performance. We also have a community of HR professionals across Africa, and the main goal is professional development and networking for the members. I can see some of our members here this evening. Thank you so much for being a part of our network and for joining us this evening. So if you're a people professional and are not part of our network, please do consider joining us. All the fun happens on Slack. So the link to join will be on the comment section as we continue. So without further ado, I will introduce our panelists for the evening who are going to engage with us in a conversation on, as you already know, hidden costs of leave management, with a focus on the strategies to minimize those expenses and also how to measure the effectiveness of those strategies. So please remember to drop your comments or questions on the comment section, as we shall be having a Q&A session after the main discussion. So allow me to introduce our guests for this evening, and I will start with Priscilla Njoroge. She is a HR consultant and also the head of HR at Mediapal. Priscilla, thank you so much for being a part of this session.
Hi, Phoebe.
How are you feeling?
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Good. It's a cold evening here in Kileleshwa, but we're dealing. I'm more of a cold person, so I'm loving the weather anyway. Thank you so much for having me in the session.
The pleasure is all ours. I'm curious to know what you're most excited about when it comes to this session.
I'm excited because right now, as a HR professional, if you're not really, you cannot really consider yourself to be strategic if you're not really looking at the bottom line of the company. And every benefit that comes with that, any benefit that that the company offers really is a cost to the company. So it's very important for me to understand in depth how I'm able to, eliminate potential risks as well as minimize costs, and at the same time ensure that our employees are engaged fully. They're able to be as productive as possible. So I'm looking forward to learning as much as possible from my colleague as well as everyone else that will be joining us today.
Oh, wow. Well, again, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. And allow me to also introduce now to the stage our second guest. He is a HR strategist and the current Deputy Director, HR and Administration at Business Registration Service, Kenya. Yusuf Shapaya, karibu sana to the stage. We're so happy and excited to learn from you and to hear from you as well. So, Yusuf, what are you most excited about?
Wow. Pili, thank you so much. It's really a pleasure connecting again. I think this is the second or third session we are having. I remember when we started this. I'm excited because we're talking about well-being. And as a HR profession, this is what we are struggling with post-COVID. Employee well-being, people well-being, and it's a topic that is timely, and I'm sure our listeners are going to gain some insights, specifically or especially the HR or people profession who will be on the call. So I'm looking forward to have a candid conversation and just interact with our listeners. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. I'm pretty sure we couldn't have picked a better panel for this conversation. So I'll leave it at that and allow us to engage a bit on the topic of the day. And then towards the end, we will have a demo of the Elevate HR Leave platform. And then right after that, we'll now get into a session of Q&A where we'll get to engage with the members of the audience and hear their comments and get to answer their questions. So Priscilla, take it away.
Thanks, Billy. Hi, Yusuf. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Priscilla. How are you?
Good. Let me just recap on our session. Behind the scene, you seem like a very fun person around.
Uh-huh.
You're just smiley, and I don't know. You just have an aura of, just making someone feel good. They really appreciate that. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So, how has your day been? It's almost midweek. What's your plan? We're heading to Eid as well. I mean, tell us, what's your plan?
Actually, I'm just from another session. I was attending an AI. There's a program we're running that we enrolled. It's going to run for 8 weeks. So today I was at Strathmore University in class, just learning about AI and all that, and which resonate with what you're talking about, because it's about artificial intelligence, more of a techie, making efficient our services or processes more effective and efficient, and to serve our people. So that's my week. I'm still looking forward. As you know, we are fasting also. So there's a lot of praying and doing good deeds. I mean, so there's a lot. But we thank God that we are here today.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy for you. The fast is breaking on Friday. I hope I'm invited. Have a good time with you guys. Anyway, so straight to our topic about leave, the hidden costs on leave management. I was having a side chat with Pili and her team, and I was informing her that this is very timely, especially for us as a company, as we are reviewing some of the policies, some of the leave policies that we have, and not really, we're reviewing it in terms of looking at and trying to benchmark on how we have been implementing the leave policy in general. I mean, how can we improve on it? How can we, relearn? How can we unlearn some of the procedures, especially when it comes to, I'll be very particular on sick leave. And it's been a learning journey for everyone, especially, both the company and the employees, because at the end of the day, we want to ensure that everyone is as comfortable as possible. And, at the end of the day, also the bottom line of the company has been preserved, or it's our top priority, together with the wellness of the employees. So this is a very timely discussion for us as a company. And it wouldn't come at a better time for us to have this discussion and also get to hear your views, as well as our listeners and our, views about leave management and the costs that are attached to it. So, first, to a very first question, could you just give us an insight about the type of leaves and what considerations do we have when implementing leave policies and procedures?
Okay. Thank you so much, Priscilla, for that. First of all is to recognize that leave is a universal right. And if you check on ILO convention, it's been recognized as one of the benefits that all employees are entitled to. And that here in Kenya, we're talking about the Employment Act of 2007 revised in 2012, from section 26 to 30, where you'll find the different types of leaves that all employees are entitled. And this just shows you how important is this benefit called leave. And in an organization, we're looking at the people who are in charge of the management of this leave before even we go into the policy. And for me, as a HR or people manager, you must prioritize management of leave in your institution. and that I know many people overlook it, and I think think it's a simple, straightforward activity, if I use that word, in an organization. But the truth is, this is the most complicated benefit that you'll have in your organization. And it's important to first appreciate what the law says about the leave, and then you look at your internal policies and also the environment, the type of sector or the work you're doing, so that by the time you're coming up with a policy, you don't infringe on people's rights. And also you look at the culture, because you see, policy is about crafting the culture of how things are supposed to run in an organization. So if you ask me the different types of leaves, in Kenya, and I think it's all over, we have different types of leave. Of course, the most common one that people talk about is the annual leave, which is a full paid leave, where you're allowed time to take off, go unwind, and is fully paid. We also have other types of leave. We have maternity. Maternity leave is our female employees who are supposed to go and give birth. Then you have paternity. We have family. Others we have family leave. We have the sick leave. We have the study leave. We also have what we call time off, which is also a type of leave for employees. And there are many other types of leave. I think as we continue, we'll go back there. For sick leave, it's an interesting one, because if you look at what the law says and the practice is that this is a type of leave that has been given a lot of attention for obvious reason. It's about life of your employee. And you look at it, and for instance, in our act, the Employment Act, it talks about the period when an employee can start enjoying that type of leave. And it gives even the number of days, the minimum, because the law will give you the minimum number of days, but an employer can decide to give more than that. So in our case here in Kenya, we're given 7 days. That is fully paid leave. And other organizations have, like for government, they don't have a specific number of days, but they have there is a caveat there, where if you are continuously away from work for more than 6 months, then there's also other things that will come into place, including even looking at the salaries and all that, so that an employee can now start getting half of what he's supposed to get until the time now he'll be back on track. And then now it also calls for what we call the board. In Kenya here, there's a medical examination board, where if somebody is sick, he has, through the Ministry of Labor, you have to take your, he has to be examined and a report prepared for organization that is for compliance, so that a decision, when that decision is made, at least it's not just an institution, but also the board has put it in place. And these are things that are already crafted in the act, the process and all that, Priscilla.
That's right. It's interesting that with the world is changing, and I was doing a bit of research and I realized that some European countries have actually adopted menstrual leave. And it's because it's really impacting the well-being of female employees in the companies. I mean, with the onset of fertility induced issues such as endometriosis, adenomyosis. I mean, it's really important to be as inclusive as possible, and to ensure that, in as much as we are pro-women, we are feminists and all that, we're also encouraging women to take care of themselves during such hard days. So, I mean, such new developments in companies and employers actually taking that up, that is really a plus. Another thing that Kenya has actually adopted is also the adoptive leave. And that was enacted, I think, early last year, if I'm not wrong, Yusuf.
Yeah.
Yes, early last year or late 2020, 2021, if I'm not wrong. And this is giving an opportunity to parents to actually take some time off when it comes to having an additional family member who's not related to you by blood. So we are expanding. I mean, the leave policies are actually expanding to be as accommodative as possible to employees as much as possible, and at the same time ensuring that everyone is feeling included, which is a very good thing. The other thing is, I'm just curious to know, Yusuf, how have you realized that only in Kenya do we have the maximum number of annual leaves in East Africa? I was during my research, I actually realized that Kenya we have a minimum leave days of 21, 21 days, and it cuts across all East African countries, name them Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, that have a minimum of 14 days. And I feel that's really a plus here in Kenya, having a minimum of 21 days. But at the same time, I've seen them actually compensated it with maternity leave, where they're having women can actually take up to 14 weeks of maternity. And here in Kenya, it's nine weeks, which is it's more of favoring the women in the other countries as opposed to here in Kenya. But at the same time, one thing has to give, I think. At the same time, also companies are doing much better. What the Employment Act, my understanding is what the Employment Act, or rather the labor laws here in Kenya, or even I know what they do is just set the bare minimum, and it's up for the companies themselves to align themselves and see if they can actually add or minimize the number of leave days that they actually give their employees. I'm curious also to know from you, what are some of the unexpected costs that come with leave as a benefit?
Priscilla, just comment on the statements you've made about being progressive Kenya. And this boils down to the fact that it's time we're seeing employers seeing the H in people, the humane bit of employees or people in an organization. And that's why you're seeing now there's a lot of attention is given to how do we make our people comfortable? How do we ensure that there's a productivity in our organization? So those days of just having people there is gone. And everyone wants to look at the value. We're looking at the value addition of that one unit. Because if you've mentioned about analytics, we've reached a point where we want to know what is the contribution that Priscilla is bringing on this table by sitting there 8 to 5. And this now makes people to start thinking and looking at ways of ensuring that employees are utilized and they give to the organization. Yes. So and it's not just Kenya alone. If you look at the trends now, many people are trying to look at other incentives and other benefits that you can ensure people you can attract or retain your talents. The easiest way of looking at it is by looking at the benefits you're giving. You've talked about the menstrual leave that is given the other side of the world, which is also commendable. And for us as HR crusaders, it means we are preaching, and now people are absorbing or are getting the understanding and the appreciating our struggles. Now, if you look at the hidden cost, what you call hidden cost, we look at it from two perspectives. We're looking at the business aspect, and in the business aspect, we're looking at how do you manage leave. And truth be said, if you poorly manage your leave, it's going to affect everything in organization. The confusion will be there. You'll see it. I remember those days when I was still young in the profession. We used to do manual leave processing, where you just have to wait for people to apply leave on a form. It's taken to a supervisor, and you can imagine if there are more than the chain of supervisors, because you find there's a first line supervisor, there's another, then up to the time you reach to the they call it the last mile, the head of that department, who has again to approve that leave for it to come to HR. Then HR, now you have to now look at it. By the time you receive the form, this guy is already back, already went and come back. Now, we saw a lot of confusion where some people, once their leave is approved by a supervisor, they hide it. You'll not even see it as HR. And if you don't walk around, or for some case you find you're looking for someone, you can't find him. That's when you'll realize this guy is not around. He's on leave, actually. Mm-hmm. So you have to chase people to bring those forms. So looking at the business aspect, actually, that one now slows down a lot of things, creates a lot of integrity issues. It changes even the culture, because now communication, you see, we're talking about we must have a clear and effective communication where people know, and communication involve even how we do things there in the organization. So you realize from the business aspect, it slows things. And this affects also the overall productivity of the employees, both the one who is applying for leave and the ones who are there. Because it's like, to me, it's like Bangi. People are hiding. I'm going on leave, but Priscilla should not know. It's only my supervisor who will know. So Priscilla, you think Yusuf is around, only to realize Yusuf is on leave. And then it became a lot of challenge. And I'm sure even for those who are still having manual processing of leave, that's the case. Now, the other aspect, you look at it from the money factor. And when I talk about the money factor, realize this, for instance, all these leaves are paid, fully paid. So you can imagine if you have poor record keeping, you're managing your leave is not properly done. It means the organization is going to lose. Where if you don't have records, I remember we used to have an Excel sheet where we would put at the beginning of the year how many days Priscilla has carried forward. Then we start deducting. So after you process the leave on the form, you have to come back on the Excel sheet and balance it. You see, but many people don't realize is that leave is money. The day that this person is not working, that is money, because you're paying for the number of days you are away, but you're paid. So if that day is not accounted for, it means you're going to lose, and the organization is going to lose in terms of the money for the leave. If one resigns from the employment, what we do, part of the terminal dues will include an unutilized leave. And unutilized leave is any balance of leave that you've not taken for that period, at least for the annual. And then look at it from the other angle of sick leave. For those people, I know my friends were asking me, Yusuf, can you make sure that we have Eid on Thursday, so that we have a Friday as a holiday? So it means many people would want, if they have that choice, they'll skywalk and they'll still expect to be paid. So look at it from that angle. And many of the HR who are on this call will attest to this. We even had issues of, and these are still the costs I'm talking about, is still the cost. That mean now the administrative costs that we're talking about, the employee morale, because you see now, you have calculated wrong leave, or you give wrong balances. What happens with these employees? Becoming unhappy. And then now what happens? If there are those lower ranks who cannot come and fight for their leave days, what will happen is that they'll just be demoralized. And you'll have a pool of employees who are not happy, they're not motivated, and they don't feel like they're being valued. So if you look at it from that perspective, as an a HR person or the CEO of that organization, you realize now you are seeing a lot of absenteeism because anytime any opportunity comes, everybody goes.
Yeah.
You understand? So, and also there's the issue of the culture. And Peter Drucker once says, he talks about strategy, where he said what finish most of our organization is the culture. And if you have poor culture where people don't feel appreciated, they're not given enough time to rest, it means then you're going to lose the brand that you're having. You're going to lose because it's your employee who will talk good about your organization, and they will sell your organization, which many people want now to associate with your brand, and also the products and the services that are provided. Looking at another hidden cost is the legal compliance. So if you look at it from the legal perspective, we mentioned that it's recognized in all statutes, the laws recognize the different types of leave, and that it's a must. That's why we said it's a universal right. So look at it from this angle. If somebody feel aggrieved because he has not been allowed to take leave, or his leave has not been well calculated, mostly at the time of exit, chances are getting legal litigations are high because this person will go and sue you. And you realize you can lose a lot of money, time, resources in terms of that, just because of poor leave management. Yeah. And now, overall, if you look at it from the department or the organization perspective, the confusion that comes in terms of how people are managed, who is supposed to be away, who is supposed to be working, you realize it's also destabilized the plan that you have. The deadlines that are supposed to be met by your employees, the general functioning of the organization now comes to a standstill, and it collapses everything. So there are many things we can look at it from that. And Priscilla, I think this conversation can go on and on and on and on. But for now, those are things. Those are some of the hidden costs that I could identify at this particular time. Priscilla?
I agree. Actually, even some companies can argue that the fact that they are paying for leave for you to, to attend your maternity, to attend your paternity, to attend your work, away from office, is also a financial cost. Yeah, which is also very expensive, because you might find that, say, for example, if there's a work-related injury and someone has to work, or rather has to take leave, has to take sick leave, the company is still has the mandate to pay you regardless of the time that you'll be off duty. Same thing with maternity. I remember very recently we had a conversation of HR professionals in our WhatsApp group, and it was all about it was entirely different from this, but it was on contracts, a fixed term contract ending while the employee is actually heading on the maternity leave. And there was it was actually a very interesting discussion, just getting to hear from professionals on that. But then again, we always go back to the law. What does the law say? Because it's been very clear when it comes to fixed term contracts. I'm not going to touch on that. But the thing is about leave management. And really, if you don't manage leave, it's going to cost us people. It's going to cost the employer also the bottom line, which is anyway the key. So something else that I am really happy about this discussion is I thank the person that brought software as a service in HR, because I agree with you, Yusuf. I have dealt with paperwork when it comes to leave management, especially in large-scale companies. It's hectic. It is very hectic. I recall a few years back where I was working in a manufacturing company with a lot of shop floor workers, and there was always an argument when it comes to shift scheduling and also allocation of leave, where some don't want to work with at specific people, or some really want to take leave on a specific time, which means you have to go and redo your work over and over. Software as a service has really helped HR professionals to streamline this process and make it as easy as possible when it comes to administration. This is our work, so we have to look for ways to ensure that we, it's smooth. Meaning having work doesn't mean that it has to be hard. It means that you have to also find a very soft and smart way of dealing with both ensuring the company is okay and ensuring also striking a balance between the company and the people. So now our next question is about, can you just provide examples of how lack of proper leave management? I think we've really we've touched on that. Let's talk about legal or compliance risks when it comes to leave management. Have you dealt with a scenario where the company or the employer was involved in mismanagement of leave? And what was the cost that it had to bear because of this mismanagement?
Thank you so much, Priscilla. In my career, I've worked in a different sector. And before I joined government, I was in a private, in a corporate world, and specifically education sector, which is quite different when it comes to leave management. I'm talking about faculty who are supposed to be on sabbatical leave. Others are supposed to be on leave of absence and all that. And you look at how leave is managed in that particular sector is totally different from this. You can imagine a faculty who are supposed to be teaching in a semester and is supposed to be on leave. So we really struggled. And thank the team that we were working with back then. We had to come up with our policies and look at so that we can ensure there's an issue of, you mentioned about the compliance. Yeah. We acknowledged that leave is every employee is supposed to go on leave. But if you talk to any faculty or any consultant, for them they're looking at when can we make more. So we had an option of where one can decide to continue teaching when he was on leave and get an extra payment, which became a big challenge. And I was looking at the trends, and it reached a point we said, no, we have to really help these people because we are the HR, and we have to bring the human beat in these people because it's all about in their mindset. Everybody is looking at when can I make more, but for us, we are saying your well-being matters. You have to refresh so that when you come back, you can teach our students well and do your assignment. So we had an issue. In fact, I was a frequent visitor to our auditor because every time we were being audited, leave was an issue. HR, what was the red? We used to have the red there was leave management. And you look at the liability that we have, because you see, if somebody is on leave and is still working, is that really leave? That's not leave. So how do you now strike the balance? You want to faculty or this particular employee who is supposed to be on leave, and also at the same time he tells you, I need money, I need to make extra cash to cater for ABC. So yes, we've encountered that internally with our legal, with our auditors, and for the audit, the reports will go to the board, and you know what will happen, Priscilla. Yes. I've also experienced dealing with exiting employee when he was separating, and this was it was an interesting one. This guy told us that he's never gone on leave, and he wanted us to prove. And before we were, the usual HR, the way you would want to talk, you already see a letter from his legal, from the lawyer. There's a demand note, and this guy is leaving, and we are instructed to pay all these leave days. And the guy has said the last time he went on leave. And actually, this person had a copy of that leave form, the last one. So we were challenged to give evidence that actually this guy has been on leave, has been utilizing his leave. It was a crazy one, Priscilla, I tell you. And when you tried calculating the number of days that you're supposed to pay this person, Thank God there's the Employment Act, which stipulates the number of days that you can carry forward, not more than leave equivalent for not more than 15 months. So it was at least a relief for us, so that we came with that, and we really worked with our legal to say, look, even if you are to look at the number of days, this is the maximum accruals you can have at any particular time. So even if we go back to look at when you didn't, so we tried to reduce those days, but eventually we paid. So yes, and I know even in this call there are a lot of issues and cases that our colleagues are handling now, related to leave mismanagement. There's also the other aspect of there's this one. This was also interesting. This particular employee went for maternity leave and then decided to continue the annual leave. So how do you, I mean, when you see, you look at leave start and end date, but this person immediately is finished her maternity, the annual leave kicked off, and then he combined it with other study leave. So you see, if you don't keep track, you lose it. And then now, when you look at this person and you call, you say that I'm on maternity. The leave that this person applied was maternity. And for those who have interacted with you, know you're supposed to have a break, at least a break in between, so that you differentiate the two leaves. And these are now the problems that we were facing then. And we had to come up with a policy to say, look, first, for you to go for maternity leave, we need at least, if you're on maternity leave and you'd want to utilize also your annual leave, this is the procedure and this is the process. So it at least that is an issue that we managed to resolve. But I have a lot of stories about this leave management, where even supervisor refusing people to go on leave. It becomes now legal issues. And now our employees are well informed and they know their rights. The next thing you see a letter from a lawyer that you're infringing on someone's right. So these are issues that we are dealing with day to day. And our role, of course, as HR, we are supposed to ensure that our managers understand first, why do we have this leave, and the importance of even planning, and the impact it has to the employees, specifically on their well-being, and most specifically the mental health of these people, because these guys need time to rest and all that. To you, Priscilla?
I agree. I really agree, Yusuf. And I was just trying to think on how, if I was in your position, how I would have handled it. I think it also boils down to the transparency of the policies and procedure. It's one thing to give contracts to employees, and it's another thing to have them in a transparent system. For example, for us, we have an internal intranet where everyone can have access to any policy, every HR issue, every employee, what do you call them? The ESATs, we do ESATs, place satisfaction surveys that we do every quarter. Like, there is transparency. That way you can always refer back and see, I mean, in this particular leave or in this particular policy, how am I supposed to deal with 1, 2, 3? I think that transparency is very important. Otherwise, we wouldn't be dealing with such issue. Anyway, we'll be taking a short break. Kefa from Elevate HR will be taking us through a very short session, and then we'll be back. In the meantime, I encourage you all to ask us questions, engage with us. This is a very interesting topic, and we need your insights as much as possible. But so far so good. It's been a half session, a very good and interactive half session that we've been having with you, Yusuf, as well as the questions that are trickling in, which we will be answering after Kefa is done with his session. So over to you, Kefa.
So thank you for the session. So it's been very insightful, and I'd like to come in and present on what we've been building in regards to automating the leave module. As you know, for Elevate HR, we work alongside our community to really build with them from the insights that we've been learning online. So these are some of the insights we've translated into our product. And I'll go through a very simple walkthrough of how, that looks like. So for the Leave module, we've launched both the admin portal and the employee self-service portal. And why does this really matter? It's to bring visibility, as Yusuf has said, in regards to how do you configure and manage multiple leave types. So we've enabled you to, for example, if it's annual leave, to describe how that looks like. What is it cumulative? Some organization would like it to be cumulative, others prefer it to end every given year. So allowing you to manage those requests from the different approvals, rejection, and you can be able to view all of them in one area. View the leave liability reports. That's a cost to the company. Example, if an employee is exiting and they've accrued a lot of leaves, that will become a big cost to the company. How do you see that before that incident happens? Handover duties and delegation before someone goes on leave. An employee is able to receive email notifications and have a central record of all the leaves taken. On the employee side, this to just enable the employees request for leave on their own. And this just brings about an interaction whereby the employees feel as if they own the process and it's not just the paperwork. They can request it from anywhere, whether your company is remote, whether your company is at the office, so that at the click of a button, they're able to request for leaves and they can view all the leave types they're assigned to based on each company's policy, and also able to see what other team members who are other team members who are on leave, and also see also other upcoming holidays. So something that we're also really working hard on to encompass this and also to make the employees feel the interacting more with the company is be able to make fast leave applications from the comfort of their phones using a mobile app that is being launched soon. And if you're interested, we'll roll this out as you also get to partake our web module. And here is whereby you'll be able, the employees will be able to download the app and be able to request for leaves as fast as possible from the comfort of their phone. Yeah, so book a demo for us for more comprehensive demo on how we can help you manage this process. Thank you very much. Over to you, Eric.
Thank you so much, Kefa. It's really important to incorporate software as a service in leave management system, because then again we won't be having all these issues that we were talking about. For example, administration costs and administration burden as a general. And I think adopting softwares such as Elevate HR in leave management has really simplified the process, brought a lot of transparency, and as well as given a lot of power to managers, as it should be. Because I don't really understand, from my perspective, Yusuf, I'd like to hear your opinion. We as people's professionals, we actually come second to line managers, and this is because they have the upper hand of understanding their team much better. They're able to allocate their teams in absentia of one or two people in their team, which is actually commendable. They do a lot of work. They do a lot of people management on the ground. So what we actually do is more on the surface, ensuring that we are promoting a culturally fit organization. We are also upholding the bottom line of the company. We're bringing in a culture that is more inclusive, and all those things that we actually do. So I'm really happy for softwares that these softwares a few years back were, were out of reach, here of very expensive and very complicated systems. But Elevate HR, since I've actually interacted with it, is actually quite easy for any entry level manager or entry level HR professional to, have hands-on experience on, and it's out of it that we're actually here to discuss it. So we are back to our second half, Yusuf, and I would like us to delve on areas in which we can minimize this hidden cost on leave management.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. Indeed, these systems making our work so easy. What you've just said, where I work currently, I was shocked. There's a specific department that I was told we have our HR. So among the committee, we're talking about the community. Amongst them, they have their HR person, who is HR in quotes. So this is their HR. And it was interesting. I wanted to find out what exactly does this HR do in this department. And we have a conversation, and I was told if we have anything related to HR, this is the person that we will go to, and she will advise us. And you notice she's the one who will always come to you if there's any clarification that we want. And it's so, just to back what you're saying, that that does not mean that we don't need the HR people in organization. It just shows the people are taking charge, which is a good thing. And when you see that in an organization, realize that that is a good working environment where people are ready to take up initiatives, and they're taking charge of themselves and their team. So one of the things that we need to do as a HR, as these people are also trying to support us, is to ensure that the continuous onboarding processes, ensure that we have continuous awareness on policies, especially for leave. You might assume, because you are dealing with these things and maybe this is your space, HR, and it's about people and all that, people forget. And you have to keep on reminding guys about your policies and the procedures so that they can, to ensure that at least things run in the organized manner. Another way of looking at it is to ensure that people do their planning, and they can also be sharing with you. The same way you do HRP, you also do the leave planning for the year, so that you insist and you encourage them to come up with their plan, so that you can look at their plans and you have it as HR. It's good. It's good to have order in an organization, and it has worked for me, because this is something we do every year, and we ensure that I have all the plans for all the departments. And we usually tell them, in case there's any change of your plan, please let us know. This is a conversation you should be having day to day. Now, I have a success story on using this platform or the tools. The first HRMS system that was introduced where I used to work, that was the USIU. I was actually the champion. We worked closely with the vendor and ensure that the leave module on the HR information system is up and running. And it was an exciting story, because at first we had a lot of resistance. Some people were like, why do you want to follow me? We are okay with the forms and all that. But when you bring because there's also the bit of getting the buying in from the people who will be using it. It's not the HR. Where we get it wrong as HR people, we think we know everything. And that if Priscilla, you've approved this, that's okay. We had to map out our ecosystem, brought on board the ICT team. As much as we were using the vendor, in our case here, Elevate, with their system. You must have a team internally, and at the center of this is HR. So you have your ICT, which will also be moving with you as you try to implement and use this. It reached a point I was so conversant with the system, very little, rarely would we even call the vendor when we have an issue. And I'm not an IT person, but because of the interest I had and when we started the journey together, so it became easy for us. Now, there are things that we really need to ensure we have, and it's good that we've been shown there. When is the leave supposed to seen? And I see there's the email notification, which is a good thing. So that you have an email notification for the employee who is completed the application. It tells him that, look, your leave has been successfully processed or applied. Then when it's approved, again, this guy gets a notification, and the supervisor also, that your leave has been successfully been approved, and the balances are automatically it's automatically done, so that at any particular time when you are doing your leave liability, you can just pull out the report and you can see where you are in terms of your liability as leave for those for the annual leave. You can also look at the other side of it, the leave, the absence. How comes everyone is going on sick leave? Is there a problem? You come and these are the other side of analytics, Priscilla, and we would want. That's why we're telling HR, as much as possible, try to learn these things. You just don't. You get a lot of insights on the systems that you're using. I'll hold Priscilla. Then for you, then we can continue this conversation.
Okay. That's good input, Yusuf. The H in HR means that we're human, and the human beat means that we are bound to be burnt out. So taking leave is actually your right. It's very important for you to take leave, and you just don't wake up. I mean, depending on the policies of the company. For example, in our case, since we're a very lean team, you need to actually apply for your leave 3 days in advance, so that the line manager or the team lead is able to plan his or her team effectively. So yes, so it's one thing. Companies that actually are into wellness and actually agree that you are dealing with people. These are not machines. They are bound to be burnt out, and therefore it's important for them to take a break, to refresh, and then come back. It's actually a plus. So the other, I would like to contribute on how to minimize the cost, this hidden cost of leave management, based on actually something that we're actually doing is flexibility, flexi time, flexi hours. So for us, what we do is we have an 8-hour working schedule every day from Monday to Friday. However, there is an aspect of flexi hours. So this means that you can come in, clock in at 8 and leave at 4, as long as you've exhausted your 8 hours, or come in at 9 and leave at 5 p.m. All this should be in line or in communication with your line managers. For us, we are really into empowering line managers, as I mentioned before, because they are the people on the ground. They're the people that are actually working with their teams as much as possible. And also, when it comes to the approval level of our leave management, always starts with the line managers. And after the line managers, that's when it comes to the people's the people's department for them to do the approval. So ensuring that we are flexible when it comes to our working schedule has really reduced our turnover, has really reduced absenteeism, and ensuring that we are actually open when it comes to such communication and feedback has given us very good reviews. As I said, we usually do employee satisfaction surveys every quarter, and we're actually very keen, as I mentioned about analytics, we're actually very keen in understanding, how we're performing per quarter. Is it in relation to our internal policies? Is it in relation to our culture? Is it in relation to strategy in general? And that has really helped us to improve as a company, and in turn improve on general productivity. So over to you, Yusuf. Let me know.
Yes, Priscilla, that's you're spot on. I mean, those are some of the strategies that our listeners can use. And just to complement you, we have early interventions that we can take. I mean, as a HR, you can just and I talked about this the analytics side of it. You just look at the trends, and you can design a program to help. Because you see, there are people who settling back from their leave is not easy, and we've seen this. Mostly our female employees who've been on maternity and coming back, and they've been away for long, and they by the time they settle back to their roles, it really takes time. So, and one way of doing this to ensure that you have zero prolonged absences, you try to come up with a program. It could be you can even partner with your medical providers to have those mental talks. You can have be innovative, come up with the activities that you can, so that these people can be enticed to settle and be back. There's also the return to work programs that we can look at, and where maybe you can start by reducing the workload. Say this employee has been on leave for maternity or on sick leave. We all human, and we know the way our body adjusts. It takes time. You can reduce workload or even provide additional training, because you realize maybe by the time this person was on leave, a new system or a new process or a policies came into place. So you as a HR, you can work with the respective manager or supervisor and try and see how can you support this employee to settle in, by ensuring that at least little by little, as this person adjust or settle in his role from the leave. And we can't stop talking about the leave management software. What Elevate HR is doing. I mean, this is the way to go, and not just system, because also I hope. Pili and Joshua will look at this. We should be talking about how to select or how to identify a good system. Because you see, if you talk to any HR, will tell you, yes, we have a HR system which has a leave module and all that. And Priscilla, you mentioned about the usability. I mean, these are issues that come. You might have a nice system, but because it's complex, people are not comfortable using it. And at the end of the day, you're losing. It's also a hidden cost. You have a system that you're not utilizing, and you're paying for that software or the system. So I think there's need also for us to look at as much as we're automating and we're trying to streamline the process, we're supposed to reduce the administrative burden of HR people, because most of the time the HR now becomes the IT administrator. Because if anyone say, I've tried to apply for leave and it's not working, the reason could be this guy does not, it's just a small thing he has not done. So leave management software is the way to go. And we really need to walk this journey with our employees to ensure that they understand the system and they can comfortably use it. Priscilla, I don't know, what is your take on this?
I agree. I mean, the simplicity of a system is very important. And that's what I mentioned about Elevate HR. It's made things easier. And the fact that it is actually going to mobile development, that's actually a plus. It means that you're able to access your LMS and also other modules at the comfort of your phone, which is actually a plus. You don't have to always carry your laptop with you every other time, or call your line manager on a Sunday and ask about a specific leave that you need to apply to. Another thing that is very important to mention about software as a service adoption in HR is the fact that a system, a HRIS system such as Elevate HR, is not just bound to leave management system. It has other modules that are very key in the employee life cycle in a company. For example, it comes to, they're now adopting onboarding to streamline onboarding process as much as possible. You can imagine, I'm very sure, Yusuf, you have a very nasty experience with maybe how your onboarding was. I have one. But this system has actually simplified this entire process as much as possible. The other thing is performance management, actually performance enablement. I was reading an article today, and it's actually focusing on shifting, from performance management to performance enablement. There's a lot. That's an entire discussion. Probably Elevate HR will give us another opportunity for us to discuss that.
Yes, sure.
It has that. It's actually going to adopt that performance management. It's going to adopt probably time tracking. It's going to adopt what other module that is very, even just having the organization structure, available to everyone to get to understand this person is in this particular department and this is the team that they're actually working on. I mean, it has made things very easy as compared to what we used to do back in the day. Allow me to shift location because of lighting. Give me 1 second. In the meantime,
Yeah, as you shift, and I think it's good you've mentioned about the other capabilities that the system can give. One of the key challenge that I've seen many developers struggling with is the performance bit. Whether you want to call it performance management or performance enablement. That is an area that a lot of our developers are struggling with when you have targets that are not similar. So target setting and even how you're going to monitor and performance and evaluate. Also, it's a big challenge, which I've interacted with the Elevate HR system, and I think this is a system that I can recommend to anyone, because you can see how some of those things are done. And it's important also to talk about the implication of the payroll. We have the system also is linked to the payroll. So when you have your leave data in terms of leave utilization and the days and all that, the days people have not come in, it also has a correlation with the system, which help us even as HR when we are looking at proper payroll management, and you ensure that your employer does not lose when people are not at work or they're not working. So most of these systems come with an inbuilt, so that they just synchronize with your payroll, and you can see the trends. And if you want to see, for HR who have a system, if you want to know the implication that the leave has in your payroll, just talk to your vendor and pull those reports, and you'll see. You see, if you have 100 people not accounting for their time, or they're not on their desk, you can see the cost implication. This is money that you could use and develop or train your people. But because of carelessness, I call it carelessness, because we are not managing leave the way it's supposed to be, you end up losing. And in the end, it's your employer who is going to lose. And if you look at it from HR, you are becoming a liability yourself as the person in charge of people. So we really have to take charge and ensure that it's not to have what we call managing the umbua. No, you don't have to follow people everywhere to check who is in and who is not. No. What we are saying is make people understand the reason why they have to come. You have to remind them, not that they don't know. You have to remind them. Priscilla?
I agree, Yusuf. Maybe just to recommend an action that fellow people, professionals can take when it comes to minimizing the cost on the aspects of wellness is ensuring that there's companies actually adopting wholesome wellness program. For example, there's some companies that have actually adopted financial training, mental health training, or mental health wellness as a package. And for us, we've actually partnered with an insurance company that brings financial knowledge, financial just how to manage financial management, to training to our employees. And we're seeing a lot of improvement when it comes to productivity, when it comes to retaining of this good talent. Because then again, it's one thing to be a talent acquisition person who is always, who's always posting new jobs, and it's another thing to actually retain good talents who are actually advancing the company ahead. Another thing is adopting mental health education. For us, we've also done that. We have partnered with the company. If you need more information, you can DM me on LinkedIn, and we can actually connect you to them. And what they do is they provide a platform, a psychological wellness platform. That's how they call it, where you can air, and everything is actually confidential. It's between you and the company, where you can just air some of the issues that you're handling. They could be work related, they could be personal related, but anything that at the end of the day is going to impact your work is important for us to intervene early enough before before it's out of hand. So I think it would be nice for us to hear from our audience. We can put some of the questions that are actually with us. We're getting so many, yeah. So I'll try to be as fast as possible. And I'd like to encourage you all who are listening, please write to us some of the questions, some of the concerns that you have when it comes to leave management. So Catherine Nganga is, let me start with Nixon Gatimu. So his concern is on sabbatical and unpaid stroke educational leave. If you can expand on that, Nixon, that would be nice. Because my understanding of unpaid leave, let me talk about unpaid leave. We don't have sabbatical leave in our company, so I will not touch on that. I leave that to you, Yusuf, if you do handle. For us, we have unpaid and educational leave, or what we call study leave. And our policy is actually very simple when it comes to educational leave or study leave, is that you have to have been with the company for a period of 6 months for you to actually enjoy your 5 days as your study leave. Also, it has to be in relation to what you're currently doing. Say, for example, if you've taken a course during your tenure with the company, or you actually were doing it before, that will lead to approval of your. Should you?
Sorry. Yes, I think I can talk about the sabbatical leave. This is a type of leave that is common in education setup, universities and all that. Where I used to work at USIU as a chief manager, human resource. So the sabbatical leave is when these faculties are we used to have, I don't know if it's changed, we used to have the number of years you're supposed to serve for you to qualify for that sabbatical. And what it means is you're taking off, you're not going to teach, you're going to be temporarily out of the payroll, doing other things. So you find some people have been, and this is also a way of encouraging our employees to participate on national building and other assignments. So for instance, someone is been assigned, identified and appointed in a government parastatal, or there's an assignment that is supposed to go, he'll apply for this sabbatical. So sabbatical, and then unpaid leave, this one is common. We find some people have unpaid leave of maximum 1 month, 3 months, which what it means is that you're not going to be paid for that period, but you're still an employee. So it's also a way of encouraging people, if they have small projects or they want to go and pursue maybe other programs. But the good thing, the most important thing, you must have a policy that is clearly speaking to that, the procedure, the process, and what this person is supposed to be. There are those employers who will say, while on unpaid leave, everything stops, including your benefits, that is medical and all the others. And others will say only salary. The other things like medical, because we already paid for the premium and it covers the year, you will continue benefiting. So these are just ways of trying to accommodate our employees, because we see where we are heading. And I don't know if you've seen this, Priscilla. We are going towards multiple jobs. So where you'll find someone doing more than one job, projects. So instead of people, you have issues of integrity and cheating, you allow people to do those things. Yeah, so that they can take off, go complete the projects they have, and they come back, so that you don't lose these people. It's also a way of retaining our employees. I can see our time is not on our side, Priscilla. We are supposed to end at 6:30, I guess, but it's now 6:41. I don't know. Are we safe? We need to ask Pili if we are safe.
We are not safe, Yusuf. We've gone above and beyond our timeline. It just means this topic is very interesting and they should give us another opportunity for us to do this again. So we're going to hand this over to Pili to close the session. It's been wonderful having this conversation with you, Yusuf, as well as everyone else that has joined us. Let's continue chatting. Let's continue getting to understand leave management and how it affects us as people, professionals, as also as employees. So thank you so much for this opportunity once again, Elevate HR. Over to you, Pili.
Wow, what a wonderful session. I have really had so much fun just learning and gleaning from your wisdom. So it has been an incredible session. Also to look at the comments has been also engaging. I've enjoyed reading some of the comments from Mombi and Nixon on LinkedIn. I've seen the engagement. Listen, how about we continue this conversation on our Slack channel? So if you're a HR professional and you're not part of our community, consider joining us. The link to join is actually right on the comment section. You can find it there. Let's pick up this conversation over there. Unfortunately, we are way above time, so we'll have to end this conversation here. If you're looking for a system that will help you, a simple system that will help you manage your employees' leave of payroll or performance, consider signing up for a demo. The link to sign up is also on the chat section. Otherwise, thank you so much for being a great audience. We have really enjoyed having you on board. Until next time. Bye.